I'm Anna Bullard, and I'm from Lyons, Georgia, and we are presenting Ava's Law this legislative session for insurance for children with autism, and Ava is my daughter. Ellie was 10 months old. I got pregnant with Ava, our second daughter. Ava was born May 25th, 2004. Ava wouldn't sleep. She literally would cry most of the day, most of the night. It was strange because Ellie was a very calm baby. When I started trying to feed Ava, once she hit that 6-month mark, it wasn't like with Ellie. Ava didn't open her mouth. Once we started trying to feed her baby food, the only way she would eat it is if I turned on 101 Dalmatians, and she would hold her mouth open watching the movie, and I would just put food in. And that's the only way I could feed her without it being a disaster. It was really 15 or 16 months before she walked, and then it was like a child that's 10 months old trying to walk. My dad would just call Ava's name and say, "Ava," and nothing. It was like she didn't hear anything at all. But then strange things would happen. At Ellie's birthday party, we started singing "Happy Birthday," and Ava started screaming. That really, for me, did it. I was just like, something is wrong. I felt like I didn't know Ava. And I felt like Ava didn't know me or Noah or her sisters. And it didn't matter if we were ever there. You don't want anything to be wrong with your child. Nobody does. And so I just thought, I'm going to throw this out to the pediatrician. I said, "My mom wants me to ask you, Ava cries when we sing Happy Birthday." That's what I said. And I felt like he's going to say I'm an idiot. And I said, and she never responds to her name. Never. Never has. And he said, well, either she has hearing problems or she has autism. A picture of autism for me was a very severe child, maybe with like mental retardation and things like that. That's the only thing I ever knew when I heard that word. I don't even know if I had ever said that word. Ava had no language. So from 5 months to 2.5, Ava had not developed at all. At this point, Ava was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night, max. I actually had gotten on the internet, looked up the warning signs for autism, because I thought, just bite the bullet, Anna. Ava had 9 out of the 10 warning signs. So for the next 6 months, we went to doctor after doctor. So I go to this doctor who says it's $500 to see her, just to get in the door. She asked me maybe 5 questions. Can Ava follow directions? No. Can Ava go get her shoes? I don't even think Ava knows what her shoes are. Does Ava wave bye-bye? No. Does Ava point? Ava's never pointed to anything. It was maybe 5 minutes of that, and the woman looked at me and said, "Well, I guess you know your daughter has autism." And I said, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you. That's all I came for." According to what I had researched, the only scientific-based, program that produced results like what I wanted for Ava were nowhere in Georgia. And so I asked the lady, I said, "So what about Dr. Lovas's methods? What about ABA?" And she looked at me and said, "That's the Cadillac version, and you will never have enough money for that." But she said, put Ava in, the preschool special ed program. Ava will be in special ed for the rest of her life. She probably won't speak. When you got diagnosed with autism, I expected that someone was going to hand me a pamphlet to say, here's where you go to get your therapy, and it's this many hours a week and this and this. That is not what happened. That didn't exist. And so I asked, where were programs for children with autism? How did I get them? No one could answer my questions. One place in Savannah had an ABA clinic that I could take Ava to. Ava was getting maybe 10 hours a week of real intensive therapy. Ava was 3 years old and wasn't saying mama. I remember sitting at my mom's table. I said, she may never say mama, and I have to be okay with that. For a week straight, 10, 20, 30 times, they would bring her back to the door. I would go behind the door, and then they would say, "Who is that? Mama," prompting her to say mama. And one day she just said mama and ran to me. That was the first time I think Ava knew me. My husband works for the school system, so we have state health benefit. Once your child is diagnosed with autism, your insurance will no longer cover your speech services. So before Ava got diagnosed, she was covered. She was going and having speech therapy. Once Ava got diagnosed, it's an excluded coverage, and they'll no longer pay for it. I love Georgia. I mean, I never wanted to move, but when Ava was diagnosed and we found out there's no coverage, our insurance doesn't cover it, they don't cover speech, they don't cover OT, they don't cover any kind of psychological services, anything that has to do with what she needs, we can't get it here. And because it doesn't cover it, there's really no clinics and things like that, because they're not going to set up in Georgia when no one can pay for it. We really considered maybe moving to South Carolina. It made me so mad that I was possibly going to have to leave my home, because everyone else had coverage for what my child had except for the state that I live in. I wasn't going to move my family. I wanted it. I said it has to come here. That's what's right. I went to a training for myself. I think I was the only parent there. There was all these teachers and speech therapists, but I heard about it, so I showed up. And I met this lady who showed this video that did what I had read on the internet that they do in other states, where they have, where parents can have access to clinics and have access to treatment for their children with autism. Their insurance covered them to go to clinics. Their insurance covered a therapist to come to their house to be, seen by a behavior analyst and have all this treatment. I just walked down front and said, will you come to my house? And she said, yeah, we go everywhere. And you have to pay for it, out of pocket, every dime, every hour, every minute. But I didn't care. Whatever the best child with the most money gets, I want that for Ava. I don't care what I have to do. The initial workshop was $3,000, and that was a 2-day, 6-hour workshop that would include training my family and a therapist to oversee Ava's programs. And after that, the board-certified behavior analyst would come out a minimum of twice a month at $150 an hour plus travel, up to 6 hours a day. And then you pay a therapist maybe $15 to $20 an hour for 40 hours a week, and that's cheap. I'm hiring high school and college students because that's all I had in Lyons, Georgia. Within 2 weeks, Ava was sitting at a table, which she had never done in her life, working on skills like stack the blocks, and Ava was following a direction. Ava had never followed any direction. Ava, point to your nose. Ava had never done anything like that. Ava worked 40 hours a week. So she did a 30-30-30. She sat at the table for 30 minutes and worked. They brought her on the floor and worked in playtime. Then they took her outside and worked outside with her. And they go back inside, and they did that for 8 hours straight. We started seeing such dramatic improvement, and then the behavior analyst said, okay, we need to put Ava in pre-K. And I had a heart attack. Normal pre-K. She said she needs to be around typical kids. She needs to be playing with typical kids. We're going to put a therapist with her. And the school worked with us. They didn't have an autism therapist, but they allowed me to pay for my therapist to come in. Kindergarten, I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to read. This is not going to work. Ava was reading books by December. It was amazing. Ava caught right on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ava this year started 3rd grade. She's 8 years old. She's in top group. The teachers are like, are you sure are you sure she has autism? We don't think so. We can't tell. And that's what we want. That's the whole point of what we try, our whole goal. All that hard work has paid off to a child who is amazing. Speak like you're talking to me over here, but look at Thomas.
I am Ava Camille Bullard, and I'm 8 years old.
What grade are you in?
3rd.
What's your favorite subject in school?
I don't have a favorite subject, like all of them.
When that doctor said put her in special ed, Ava may not talk, just do the best you can. And I'm gonna give you some medicine to help you out, Mom. That's what would have happened. I don't think Ava would have spoke. It didn't come natural to her. I think that Ava would be in a severe and profound classroom. I think she would be one of those kids that always has to live with her parents and be taken care of, that could never be independent. If we hadn't found the treatment and really pushed to get her the maximum available.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a fashion designer, and I'm going to make all kinds of stuff like purses and all that stuff. And the store is I'm going to buy my own land and own it in lines.
Parents see Ava and they say, I want that. But what am I supposed to tell them? It's going to cost you a minimum of $20,000 to $30,000 a year. Parents can't do all that. I mean, they're all they know to do is take them to the school for the few hours that the school can offer them.
Do you know why we're making this video?
To pass a law.
Do you know what that law is about?
Autism.
Ava's law is as simple as children with autism in the state of Georgia being able to receive coverage from their insurance companies just like children with autism in the surrounding states. That's what I continue to fight for. That's why I'm still here. That's why.